I love my Fuji cameras, but there is one thing that Fuji does on their cameras that drives me crazy. All right, before we get started, don't forget to check out my podcast. It's called Photobomb. It's available anywhere that podcasts are found. And if you go to my website, there's a link down in the description. You will find all of the gear that I use, both professionally and as a hobbyist. And so you can see all the stuff I use and that I talk about on all the videos on my channel. Okay, let's talk about this thing that Fuji does. It just annoys me no end. This is not going to be a really long video because it's just the one thing. I'm a professional photographer in Tampa, Florida, and I do a lot of events, right? So I'm shooting events. The last 3 weekends in a row, I shot events. And at several of these events, I was both inside and outside. I was bouncing back and forth between being inside and outside. So when I'm outside, I usually shoot in an auto mode. I will have my shutter speed set to auto and my ISO set to auto, and then I'll just select my aperture as needed and let the camera do the rest for me. And then if I need to make adjustments, I can use exposure compensation to do that. I just use the wheel here on the back of the camera to adjust my exposure compensation. Everything's great. When I go inside into a dark room, well, then the flash comes into play, right? So I've got the big flash on the camera, and I need to get out of auto mode. Now, you don't have to get out of auto mode. You can stay in some auto modes, but I used manual for so long with flash that it's just second nature to me now. So when I go inside, let's go back to manual mode. And I want to select my aperture, select my ISO, and select my shutter speed. Now, with Fuji cameras, one of the great things about Fuji cameras is that you got the big dials up here, and you can just turn those dials and select those settings. But if you are working what I call run and gun, right? You're going all over the place and shooting a lot, that's not really convenient. You want to be able to make changes to your ISO and your shutter speed while you're looking through the viewfinder. So what you want to do is set it so that the two wheels, the two dials here on your camera, one on the top and one on the back, so that these two things will control your ISO and your shutter speed. So here's what drives me crazy. If you are in auto mode on both your dials, if you want to take your shutter speed and set it so that you can control it with the wheel on the back of the camera, you go 2 clicks, 1, 2, counterclockwise to T. T is in T, right? And if you want to take your ISO to manual, well, you can control it with the wheel on the front of the camera. It's 1 click counterclockwise to C as in cat. So to recap, 2 clicks to T, 1 click to C puts them into manual mode where the controls are here. Now here's the other thing about this confusing. First of all, why is one T and the other C? I'm sure there's some technical reason. Please, in the comments, explain to me why one uses the letter T and the other uses the letter C. That'd be great. But here's the other thing. They both move counterclockwise, which is kind of great, right? Because that way you can just think, okay, counterclockwise, counterclockwise. But if you're looking at your camera, it's not intuitive at all. And the reason is because the mark on this wheel is at the 9 o'clock position, and the mark on this wheel is at the 3 o'clock position. So here you are going down. The numbers are coming down in your view. And here the number is going up. So I imagine over time I will get myself to where I just remember, oh, it's, click, click, and click. That's what does it. And to go back, it's click, click, and click. But when you're looking at it, and I've only had my camera for about a year, so I'm really still getting memory. It's hard to shake 12 years of using Canon and suddenly get used to how the Fuji works. But when you're looking at it, it just seems counterintuitive that the numbers go down on one dial and the numbers go up on the other dial. So it drives me crazy because I really noticed it this weekend bouncing back and forth between inside and outside. And then there's the Fuji X100V, which I love, and this is my walk-around daily camera. Now, it doesn't have 2 dials. It only has the 1 dial, and then the ISO dial is set inside. Now, if you are in full auto mode on this camera, I'm going to put it in auto mode real quick. So you're in full auto mode, and you want to switch it to manual mode and have the settings on the dials. It is 1 long click, bang, and then 1 more, boom, to T, right? That's counterclockwise. And with the ISO, it's pull it up and then go one click clockwise, and then you're at what? C. Oh, there it is. I missed it. There it is. C. So it's one click. So to recap, on this dial, both of the dials, the mark is on the same side. But then they decided to make the dials turn in opposite directions. so let me just rephrase that for you. Dials, one has a mark on one side, one has a mark on the other side, so they made the dials turn in the same direction, even though the marks are on opposite sides, and it makes it seem wonky. But on this one, the mark is on the same size. So if they had both dials turning in the same direction like they do on the X-T4, it would make perfect sense. Well, they, of course, say no. They decided to make the dials turn in opposite directions, even though the mark is on the same side, so it could just be 2 clicks, 1 click. Instead, it's 2 clicks and then 1 click in the opposite direction. And again, one is called T and one is called C. So there it is. That's the thing that drives me crazy when I am shooting with my Fuji cameras, is that switching back and forth between auto and manual modes, I have to think about it. And I don't want to think about it. I want it to be much more automatic. In fact, and if I'm wrong about this and this exists, please tell me in the comments, because I would love this. I would love it if I could program a button on my camera that I just hit that button and my camera automatically went into auto mode. And if I hit it again, it went back to manual. That would be wonderful, because that's the thing I find myself switching most of the time, is switching back and forth between when I'm using a flash indoors and when I'm not using a flash outdoors. I'm constantly switching between full auto, except for my aperture, of course, and full manual. I don't think I can do that with this camera. Maybe I can. If I can, please tell me. Give me a little education. All right, that's it. That's the thing that really drives me nuts when I'm actually using the camera on the job. Feel free to comment on the things that drive you nuts, or to call me crazy, whatever you want to do. It's a great community here. And be sure and join my group on Facebook too. It's called Pro Photo Talk with Blu-ray, and a lot of great people in there, all kinds of shooters, and we talk to each other, we ask each other questions, and we help each other out. And I'll see you back here on the next video. Thanks for watching.